Welcome to today's presentation. I am a corporate pleb, and this is How to Corporate. Today we'll be discussing a common coworker type, the job hopper. As you work in corporate, there will be a rotating population of coworkers who seem more akin to tourists than anything else. They will start working in your organization and initially seem eager to interact and be social. They will learn all the cultural rules of the office almost overnight. They will be personable and have fun stories about the places they have worked. Hearing compare-contrast stories from a new hire who has explored your industry under different corporate flags is going to be exciting for you. It's a secondhand experience of what working elsewhere is like for those of us who sit tight in our positions for the long haul. Yes, the job-hopping corporate tourist is fascinating to be around when they begin their first couple weeks of employment. They're fresh on the menu. For you, the mainstay corporate pleb, new blood is exciting. They are a coworker you don't hate yet. You might even like them. What potential they have. What excitement they offer simply by being there. What mysteries do they hold that you might hear tell of? When given a few weeks, once you are acclimated to their presence, once the honeymoon is over, it will become apparent that the only mystery they harbor is how in the heck did they manage to get hired. A long job history with a dozen companies worked for inside of a decade is revealed to be the red flag it always was. The new hire isn't good at work. This job-hopping, been around the block, non-committal and generic worker is great at applying themselves for the job and lousy when actually put to work. What you are looking at when you see a job hopper is a desperate addict. A person so terrified of doing one skilled job in one specific company that they cannot get over their own fear to sit still and pursue an actual career. Now, true, there are job hoppers who, via a series of misfortune or personal circumstances, have found themselves playing the role of a nomad wandering from job to job. They do exist, but they are outliers. More often than not, when you come across someone in the corporate world who lasts 1 to 2 years at one company before re-rolling at another, you are looking at a worthless coworker. In corporate, there are no shortage of job hoppers. You already know half a dozen, and they will swap out with half a dozen new ones inside of 12 months from where you are sitting today. It is a reality of corporate that this character, nameless and faceless, will replenish itself time and time again. You, the worker, will suffer their antics and useless contributions to your workplace on a constant basis. There are many reasons people job hop. Some are addicted to this job hopping activity. That honeymoon phase when they start work is intoxicating. Money for nothing. First year or two at a corporation is easy mode. No one expects much from you as a new worker, and everyone is friendly and they're kind of compelled to help you. If someone doesn't help you, you can even complain about them and get them in trouble. It's great. Power and no responsibility and no expectations. It times out eventually, but squeezing 1 to 2 years of free play out of a job is a cakewalk to an experienced job hopper. Now, some job hoppers are simply terrified of commitment. The corporate world is red tape and rules, and most people hate that. Once a job hopper who dislikes rules has their fill of red tape, they want to purge all useless data from their heads and start again somewhere else, so they dump the job and move. Then you have the gamblers looking for get-rich-quick positions. If you job hop enough, eventually, playing the odds, You will land a position where cash seems to flow in stupid amounts. And then there are grass is greener enthusiasts convinced the perfect job is out there, and they will find it if they just keep walking on various lawns. The reasons are varied and frankly irrelevant. The results of job hopping are that you have a person who is great at navigating superficial social interactions and absolutely terrible at whatever job they were hired for. It's not uncommon to encounter a job hopper with a deep past of switching employers who is unsure of where they currently work and what they actually were hired to do. They'll have several ready-made speeches with generic buzzwords used to bypass questions of their relevance, but when you really pin them down, a real job hopper will not only be wholly unaware of what they are tasked with, but they'll also not care. You see, in their head, it's not about the job or the tasks or what they were hired to do. In a job hopper's head, it is only ever about the clock. A job hopper follows a specific corporate god, and that is the one of the clock. A job hopper will go into a new role with the idea that they will only be there 1 year or less, maybe 2 if it's a good gig with good pay and benefits. But overall, the clock is the only authority a job hopper follows. It tells them when it's time to move along. It kicks in when the job hopper starts to notice others beginning to question if they are worth their paycheck. When the people at company X, who actually contribute to the company's success, notice that the job hopper isn't actually doing anything, that clock will start to buzz in their heads. To the hopper, it is time to refresh the resume and get back to their real job of finding a new job. Now, why are job hoppers routinely hired? If this is what they do, then this is something that should be expected. So why do they keep getting hired? So when the job hopper gets back to their business of finding a business to host them for a year or two, rest assured they are not going to struggle at that. The job hopper's subject matter expertise in the corporate world is in finding new places to take them in so they can begin their parasitic cycle all over again. It sounds kind of impressive to just pack up one successful job and scrap it for a new one. To even get a new job comparable to the last is impressive, and to do it regularly, as job hoppers do, it's really kind of impressive how they do that. But how skilled must they be to, underneath all that job hopping, be able to get a new job at the drop of a hat when they're looking for one? If you could just nail them down and get them to commit and stay at your company, well, they'd be a major asset, right? Alas, the job hopper is functionally worthless and will never be of much use. Human resources are an easy mark. A job hopper knows that all the scripted questions coming their way are things that they can answer easily. Job hoppers have been in many interview rooms across the desk from many human resources people. They know how to answer any and all questions coming at them because they're effectively on a set refresh script from human resources. They've done this dance so many times. They are professionals at tricking human resources personnel who are really only interested in interacting with candidates long enough to see if they can continue a normal conversation. But job hoppers are used to this, and they're used to being successful at the process. The pathetic reality is that a job hopper's skill of quitting and getting hired is not too difficult to become proficient at. But the even more pathetic reality is that human resources personnel fall for the smoke and mirrors routine pretty much every time. Human resources, they're looking to fill a chair. If a candidate checks off boxes on their web form and they are effectively competent, well, the human resources person is sort of compelled to hire them. A resume with 10 jobs listed for the last 10 years is the reddest of flags, though. A resume like this tells the reader that the person will leave. A resume with deep job history is a matter-of-fact statement flat out telling the HR rep that they are a bad flight risk and have the track record to prove it. Once all the investment of onboarding is done and the burden of training them is passed on to existing and overworked staff, the job hopper will soon realize the honeymoon phase is over and they're going to look to leave. When you spend your time interviewing and winning seats at various companies, your real expertise in the corporate world isn't getting hired. People who are experts in a thing tend to do that thing. If a job hopper gets in the groove of hopping around from position to position, they will keep doing it via a sense of corporate inertia. But the 20-something human resources girl promoted last week from the front office gopher has no defenses against the seasoned job hopper. To them, the job hopper is going to seem as if they are the clear-cut choice for a new position among the pool of available candidates. They're smooth, they're polished, they're charismatic. They know how to answer all the questions correctly. A job hopper is good at their job of getting hired. You will never not have job hoppers sitting behind you looking over your shoulder to be trained on your dime as a corporate pleb. Unfortunately, they have a very easy time of getting through the human resources department to get hired. So now we get to this and how it relates to you, dear pleb. You, the corporate worker, the person who isn't looking to change jobs every year because you're bored, the person looking to help make their department stable and profitable, how will you interact with the parade of job hoppers that are going to tramp through your department? Because they will. It will be important to simply listen to them on the front end. The job hopper will almost always instantly bathe you in stories about all the places they've worked. You will quickly learn if they are someone who is a flight risk. Once you learn this, do your best to steer clear of them in all areas, short of friendly break room banter. A job hopper has nothing for you career-wise. They can and will only take. They will take your training efforts and attention and display all the hallmarks of engagement, and it will all be a facade. The honeymoon phase of a new job is all about being a social butterfly. The newly hired job hopper will train under many people. They will shadow several processes. They will need to be carried and coddled and helped. For them, they needn't learn anything other than the basics to be successful enough to keep the roadmap ahead of them open for a year. No one expects anything from a new hire in year one at corporate. If they want to stay on into year two, they just need to dance enough to keep up. But a job hopper, they won't have anything for you. You, the mainstay, the worker pleb. The job hopper takes the best parts of the buffet and throws all the rest out in the garbage without a second thought. You, as the pleb, person with no authority, person who's just trying to get through their day, get through their week, you have to be especially careful about interacting with job hoppers. They can be fun. They can be interesting. They can never be a benefit to you in the long run, though. They won't be. They're not even going to be around for the long haul. So don't waste your time. Thank you for joining me. Please come back and explore the corporate world from the standpoint of a common worker pleb at any time. See you soon.